Thank you so much to the Society of Renaissance Studies for shortlisting my book, Street Life in Renaissance Italy, published by Yale University Press in 2020 for its Biennial Book Prize. I'm extremely honoured, both on account of the very large number of submissions and because of the brilliant other books that have been selected with mine. Thank you. Street Life in Renaissance Italy set out to do something relatively original and, at least for me, quite ambitious. It's a comparative study that encompasses all of Italy, albeit that in reality very little of the evidence comes from south of Naples, and works across a range of disciplines to consider the lived experience of urban life in a period marked by significant architectural change. All too often, architectural historians dwell predominantly on the built fabric and patronage networks that brought it into being, while social historians consider the individuals and communities that make up the city. What I set out to do was consider these two aspects in parallel, while drawing on a wide range of source types, including literary compositions, where the city is a little explored backdrop to all sorts of goings-on. The book is written in 6 chapters and split into 2 parts. To simplify drastically, Part 1 considers the structure-agency dichotomy. It opens with a chapter that describes how cities were shaped through patronage and legislative measures that renewed many centres during the Renaissance period. Structure. Chapter 2 then looks at those same spaces from the point of view of lived experience, to consider the agency of people and groups to shape and inhabit these spaces on a daily basis. Chapter 3 instead shows, through a discussion of how we might use the analytic concept of surveillance, that the frameworks at play in the 2 opening chapters operate in tandem. In this case by showing that while legislation and officials ordered the city from the centre, vertically so to speak, practices of self-surveillance, such as through denunciation, contributed to the horizontal exercise of authority. Part 2, on the other hand, presents 3 different units of scale for considering street life, drawn from contemporary urban design theory, an aspect that runs through the entire book. Paths and edges, the street as a unit. Nodes, here street corners, and monuments, in which I chose to consider residential palaces. Each of these 3 chapters works with a series of source types to give a sense of how life operated at these units of scale, but also to draw out what I have described as the material culture of public space. That is, a recognisable, readable set of features that together create the public realm. Throughout the book, I've worked with the built fabric of Italian cities, illustrated with maps, contemporary artworks, and many of my own photographs. The book, as is often said of art books, is beautiful. I do hope also that it has opened up a field of inquiry that others will develop further, reminding us that the city as a work of art, as it's sometimes described, is not just made up of churches, palaces, government buildings and grand fortifications, but also of the streets and squares that are often taken for granted or overlooked. Thanks very much for taking time for listening, and I hope you have a chance to read the book.